up, guys? Hope you're all having a good day or night, wherever it is. Hope you're all having a good one. Here we are today with the second installment of the real life racing series. Today we are at IMI for the Run Your Rust Off race. That's part of the CKT Championship. Today it was a non-points race, and this is part 1 of 2. This video is going to be going over qualifying and the pre-final. So here we are in qualifying. My forward direction teammate of Kenny is right ahead of me. We decided to work together. Kenny decided to be the lead car after we realized that he was a bit faster. So I'm getting a draft coming off of the back straight. Getting a draft so I can get higher speed. It's really critical for these Briggs go-karts. They don't have that much power. I mean, it's decent, but they're especially lacking in torque. So as you saw, Kenny tapped the side of his helmet. That was basically just him saying, hey, follow me, bump draft me. So I'm like, alright, I'll bump you after you, Kenny. So I decided to just bump draft him, and with Briggs, you definitely need a drafting partner. Ideally, we would have 2, but not for this race. So it was me and Kenny. I bump drafted him, and I did this for about like half the qualifying session. The previous half I was ahead, but I made a small mistake and let him pass because I didn't want to get in his way. There he is. He's looking back, make sure I'm here. Coming into the big right hand sweeper. Got someone without a draft up there. Kind of worried that we might catch them a little bit. I'm at perfect distance coming onto the back straight. Final left, good apex, good run. Get the draft, catching Kenny, bunk, 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 bunk. And then that'll gain you like an extra 1/10 of a second, if not more. And then coming out, I'm like, alright, come on Kenny, let's go, bump, bump, bump. I'm not even bumping him there, I'm just pushing him straight up. And then into the final telephone pole corner, coming out onto the final straight. I get a good draft. Coming out. Boom. Right across the line. And that got me the 3rd place, just ahead of Kenny. We got Seth got 2nd, the pole. And then we have James Michael in the number 4 cart right ahead of me, in the PPIR cart. And at this moment I should mention, I do not know what chassis he is on, but Seth is on a FA, and me and Kenny are both on comp carts. In the final, there is another racer, Henry, who became also very important in the race. In this race, he had some technical issues in qualifying, so he's not quite able to make it, and he had to start at the back. Here we are. Everybody's saying good luck. And here we go, right out on the track. Here we are, coming to the start-finish line. Graded up. As you can see, I'm on the inside, 3rd place. James Michael right ahead of me. Seth on the outside. Seth gets a good start. Kenny's on the outside of me. Can't quite see him. James into the lead. Seth right behind him. I go a little bit defensive up into turn 4, 3 kind of area, and then come down into the dip. I had a terrible start, as this was my first start in Briggs, so I'm a little bit back on Seth. As you can see, Seth, he thought I was closer, so he was like, hey, follow me, we can get past James Michael up here. And then at this point I was tapping my helmet furiously. I was like, come on, Kenny, we need to catch these guys. Come on, let's go. And I was hoping that I would be able to, but you guys will see. We got close, but yeah, I dropped a wheel there. Not so good. That sealed. That was the last nail in the coffin pretty much there. At this point, I'm too far behind for a draft. In a Briggs, just like NASCAR, if you lose the draft, you're pretty much done, especially at IMI, since it's such a fast track. At this point, I was just focused on the target ahead. I was not worried about anybody behind me. I was just like, come come on, Jack, we need to catch these guys, we need to get it. Because I was hoping that by the final I'd be on the front row. But again, I was concentrating. Literally after this race, my eyeballs were sore from concentrating so hard. I'm not even joking on that one. And then again, throw it into the corner before the straight. Try not to get too big of a slide. Kenny's back there giving me a nice little bump draft. Again, big thanks to my forward direction teammate Kenny, I should say. He was a big help this weekend, and it was fun racing with him. So Kenny, if you're watching this, it was super fun. Here we go into the telephone pole corner. Again, I'm still hopeful to catch these guys, but at this point I knew that I lost the draft. And my biggest hope was that they would start battling and I would be able to catch them that way. Because otherwise, if they stayed single file and there was only 1 or 2 passes made, there was no hope that I was going to catch them. I mean, there was hope, but there was very little hope, I should say. As you can see up there, Seth is still trying to find a way past James Michael. He's getting close, Still not quite able to do it. I'm sure Seth knows very well that if he starts passing James Michael, that he's gonna, I'm gonna catch him, Kenny's gonna catch him, and then it's gonna be a 4-cart battle. And at this point, Seth was probably happy with his 2nd place for the final. And if you guys have ever watched like Rallycross or anything like that, sometimes it's better to get a 2nd in the pre-final than to crash out battling for a 1st, because the 2nd place is almost as good as a 1st, especially when coming into the final. Now, it's less at this track because the first 2 major corners are left-handers, so the pole has a big advantage, but there is that little right-hand kink that it can be advantageous to be in 2nd for that kink. But yeah, again, Seth was not too bothered about passing James at this moment. He was just focused on keeping up with him and just bump drafting him and getting away from me and Kenny, which obviously they did very, very well in the beginning. Coming to the halfway point, as you can see by the flagger on the right. At this point, I knew that I wasn't going to catch Seth or James Michael. So at this point, I was just focused on, let's get this 3rd, let's have an inside position for the start. And yeah, that's the main thing I was focused on. So at this point, I started focusing more on not letting someone else pass. And as soon as I did that, I started making some mistakes. I started sliding a bit and things like that, because pro tip, if you are ever racing, always focus on the car ahead, never focus on the car behind. Because as soon as you start thinking about the person behind you, you will stop thinking about going faster and going forward. Which is what I started to do in this race, is I started thinking more about Kenny behind me and less about Seth and James Michael up there. And as you can see, Seth is still just following James, and not much has happened up there. And in case you guys were curious, this was an 8-lap race, so this is 3 to go at this moment. So we are on lap 5. So next time around will be 2 to go. Or, yeah. No, yeah, 2 to go next time. And there goes Kenny up the inside. Kenny's like, alright, I made a mistake through that right-hander. Kenny's like, alright, dude, follow me, let's go. So then I'm like, alright, Kenny, bump. bump, 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 bump. You can see Kenny sat up there to see where he was going, and then Kenny made a little bit of mistake. I'm like, all right, bump, bump, bump. At this point, I had to run, but I bumped him too much coming into the corners. The officials do not like it if you bump someone and then pass them. So I knew that I just had to follow the leader through there. I knew that was best for our races too, because at this point I wasn't sure how close the next person was behind us. So I was like, it's fine. I don't want to wreck both of us just trying to pass him, and I don't want to be starting in 4th and 5th rather than 3rd and 4th, because after all, he is my teammate, and I do have to think about him a little bit. Now, of course, all bets are off when it comes to the final lap in the final, but I didn't want to wreck us in the pre-final. So as you can see, Kenny knows I'm there, looking to the right, seeing if I'm on the inside. Kenny gets a good run into the left-hander. I get a bad run. Pretty decent though. Then you can just see that draft just sucks me. I'm like, cool, boom, boom, boom. And then I get on the brakes a little bit early to not wreck Kenny. Get that little bit of a draft coming up over the hill. Draft, draft, draft. I'm looking to the inside, not enough space. Still not the last lap. I can conserve it a little bit, but I know that I have that in the back of my mind that I get a good run on Kenny there, so that I can look for that on the final lap. Here we go. White flag's out. On to the last lap. There I am, getting the draft up on Kenny, up into the top hairpin, looking to the inside. Kenny knows I might look there. That's one of the better overtaking spots on the track. Kenny looks left. Make sure I'm not there. I get a run. Think about going to the inside. This is not a good place to pass. Uh-oh, I get a slide. Uh-oh. A little bit far behind now. Come on. Get that draft. Up in the left-hander before the straight. Get it pretty much spot on. Perfect. Get the draft, get the draft, get the draft. Think about going inside. Kenny knows I might go there. Hairpin's not the best place just because you won't get a good run out. Here I am. Mess it up a little bit. Might not have the run. Come on, Kenny's looking left, looking right. Which way will I go? Kenny goes a bit defensive, looks to the right. Down the inside I go. Last lap, last corner. Kenny's on the outside. Not able to make it stick. There we go, coming to the line. Kenny's got a bit of a run. Not close enough. And that was a 3rd place in the pre-final.
I knew you were going to make that move there, and I was going to, as I was just about to cut it off.
And there's it. Thank you for watching, and remember, there's another video up on the channel for the finals if you guys want to go watch that. That race was equally, if not more, exciting. As always, see ya.